another episode which you did about managing creative feedback,
Yes.
right? Really understand the pain of that, right? When you're saying that, when people have their own ideas, because see, when we're putting a part of our work out, it's like a part of our own self, right? Like you rightly mentioned, sometimes very difficult to let go of the idea. When we're collaborating, okay, then also it's a little different, maybe perhaps. You can still ideate and everything, and if you have the final say, then you'll go with it or whatever. But once say work is out there, I think that is what even that episode was talking about.
Yes.
That managing, like, because see, people, not everybody will have what we perceive to be the right way of giving feedback, right? Some people's feedback is like, it's like you're feedback de rahe ho, or are you trying to just really pull us down? What are you doing? Ki matlab it's so demoralizing. It's not कि तुम कुछ काम किया है अच्छा. They don't know the corporate sandwich theory जो मैं सुनने में आता है, or what is called the sandwich theory or something, yes. दो compliment के बीच में एक वो नहीं करते, वो सिर्फ उनका वो sandwich में सिर्फ वही बीच का वही रहता है, उनके वो buns गायब है. So how do we manage that, and what like how has your process been? Because I found that episode very interesting, because for me also, what happens, I'll tell you honestly, why that episode stuck with me was because there are certain people जिनके से मैं feedback ले लूँगा, even if I'm putting my work out there. So then when people will say, okay, nahin, but you've put your work out there, it's open to criticism. हाँ ठीक है, पर तुमसे नहीं मांग रहा मैं. Sometimes my approach can be like that. ठीक है, दुनिया में तो बहुत चीज़ें हैं, सब पे तुम comment करते फिरोगे. So like, help me understand more about your process in general.
So, now whenever you talk about feedback, or the first thing I remember is Karna's chariot. Yeah, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. So I need you to talk about it. But let me so the example that I had shared that really kind of made me even go back to this was I was working on this project and we shared the work, my work, whatever I'd written, and the client just tore it down. Now, the thing is that had the client torn down the work, systematically, I would have still been okay with it. But the client, the comment was very personal, and what he said was that you should stop writing. You don't know how to write, right? Now, had this been when I was in my early 20s, when I just started writing, I would have probably stopped writing, but at least I would have been, maybe he's right. But this was after I'd been writing for 20 years. So it should not have made any sense. It did not make any sense. I should not have got affected, but I did. It broke my confidence down. And for, I think about a week or so, I was just mopping about it, right? To anyone and everyone. I was like a crybaby. Oh, how could he say this, right? It was my ego. And that, after a point, I got over it and, it got all sorted out. Anyway, the point is, it got me thinking, how is it that someone who's not my mentor, who's not my well-wisher, I had not even spoken to him ever before this, how is it that feedback from someone who honestly should not matter? Because I don't know him from Adam. So why should it matter? Why did it affect me so? Right? So it is not my writing. It is not my skills. It is my ego, that was, in the picture. That's it. Nothing else. And when I, got, when I started reading the Gita and I came across the shlok, it got me thinking that, I need to manage, taking feedback, right? In a way where I do not make this about myself.
Or perhaps filtering it out, maybe?
So the way I, after that incident, but especially after I kind of started thinking about this, what I've started to do is when I get feedback, right? Good, bad, ugly. I do not take it personally anymore. Okay. Even the good feedback. Okay. Right? Okay. So I don't, it's not that, oh, you give me good feedback, I'm going to feel happy about it. You do not give me good feedback, I'm going to not care about it. No.
Not becoming dependent.
So it's also detaching myself from that feedback and saying, you give me good feedback. Yes. It's, it's like, being on a, if I am treating it like a journey let's say, on a bicycle. A critical feedback is like a speed bump. Okay. Right? it's going to slow me down, but that's momentary.
Yeah.
Right? And there is a reason why I had to, why we slow down.
Why slow down? Yeah.
There's a reason, right?
True.
So I treat it as that. Okay, it's a speed bump. Someone has said something. I cannot claim that, I am Zen mode, so nothing touches me.
Yeah.
Of course it does.
Yeah.
But I treat it like a speed bump. So in my head, I'm like, oh, speed bump. So I just go over it and I'm back, right?
Yeah.
Does it happen every single time? No. But I try and do that, right?
Okay.
Whereas the appreciation, I treat it as if I'm, on a slope, downward slope, right? So it's, I don't, so you feel good, right? So you fly.
Yeah.
But I still need to keep in mind that the slope is not going to go on forever. And if I do not keep my hands, on, and keep the bicycle steady,
right.
I can even trip on a downward slope, right?
True.
So I have to still be aware of what I'm doing,
Yes.
but I can enjoy the ride for a moment. So I try and keep it in that way, enjoy the feedback for a while, manage the, the speed bump for a while, but,
but
continue.
Going.
And while it's not something that happens automatically, at least it has helped me to not just take feedback, but even when I'm giving feedback, I'm now more conscious about what kind of feedback am I giving.
So important.
Is it something that is the sandwich thing that you mentioned? That does make sense, that it's nice, but a lot of times I used to use this sandwich thing earlier. What I used to do was, देना तो बीच का ये है, ये कुछ तो घुसा दो ऊपर से नीचे से. So I'm like, okay, yeah, very nice. It was written very well. And then da, and then ऊपर से, don't worry, you'll get better. And I'm like, हाँ, मैंने कर दिया. But that's not what the idea is, because then I'm coming from a space of मेरे को feedback देना है. It was not coming from a space of I want to be in service to this person. I want to make a difference. It was not coming from. It's like, उसने feedback मांगा है, मैं feedback दूंगा.
Right.
And this helped me also change, because I became more aware about what feedback was doing to me. Both feedbacks. I said, if I'm giving feedback, I have to be more aware of what am I doing to the other person.
Wow.
So that awareness has happened even in my giving feedback. So, and hopefully people who have gotten feedback have seen at least a little bit of change in the way I've done that. So,
I think this reminds me, very nicely you put this thing. I think like somebody put it very nicely. There's a difference between being nice and kind. So if I'm just nice to you, I'll not tell that, oh, there's the little, khana dekho atka hua hai daant mein, because usko bura na lage. Being kind is, actually there's something on your teeth. Can you just clear? Because then that is much more kinder, that, you're helping the person out. But I think in the way that it's...
I don't have something stuck in my...
Not right now. Not right now. No, okay. Not a subtle remark. But yeah. But this is... this opens
it's a
up...
good example. Nice and kind.
And also... I think you're saying, so all the entire time when you were talking about all this thing, na bhai, again I was coming back to the Gita only, because Gita में यही हो रहा है जो आप सही कह रहे हो कि यार वो जैसे आपने कहा वो इंसान ना मेरा mentor है, कौन है, क्या है, कोई भी आके, like I'm treating it like that. And this is a fantastic example. Again, this will also stay with me. I heard it in the episode also, but again I had भूल ही गया था. But now when you remind me of the speed bump example, was amazing. ये जैसे गीता में भी उसी कृष्णा डजंट स्टार्ट गिविंग द सरमन टू अर्जुना कि हाँ शुरू होते हैं, हाँ बेटा व्हाइट बोर्ड ब्लैक बोर्ड लेके आया, चौक लेके शुरू हुआ. इट्स ओनली व्हेन अर्जुना एंड कृष्णा आर फ्रेंड्स प्राइमरीली, ही इज नॉट हिज गुरु. ओनली व्हेन, जैसे हम फ्री फंड की एडवाइस देने की बड़ी आदत है, मे बी यू कैन एक्सप्लोर दैट आल्सो इन अनदर एपिसोड आगे व्हेन यू डू गीता फॉर द क्रिएटिव सोल अगेन. इट्स आई मीन लाइक द एपिसोड इन अदर पॉडकास्ट इफ यू डू सो लाइक, बट विद कृष्णा डजंट गिव इट, राइट? ही जस्ट स्टेज, ही फर्स्ट he's like admonishing him like a friend, कि चल ना पागल है क्या, ऐसे क्या, मतलब of course I'm doing in my, of course he doesn't literally say that to the viewers, but he's just not giving any gyan per se. It's only when Arjuna says, no, you're like a teacher to me now. Shishyasti ham shadimam tvam prapannam. Now I am your surrendered disciple. Now please guide me. When he puts him in that position, then Krishna starts speaking. So I think that is also very important. I think for me also, that's also a takeaway that I'm taking from this conversation. So thank you.